what do you think is more important? Your teeth or your brain? Let's take a vote. Raise your hand if you think your teeth are more important than your brain. A child and 2 other people. Okay. Raise your hand if you think your brain is more important than your teeth. A clear majority that think our brains are more important than teeth. If you say, keep your hand up if you say your brain is important. Brain more important than teeth. Nice and high. Be proud. We love our brains. Keep your hand up if you pay attention to your brain 2 minutes a day in the morning and at night. Okay. Far fewer people. We tend to take care of our teeth 2 minutes a day when we wake up, 2 minutes a day before we go to bed, but our brain, which we said was more important, we just let it roll. There are lots of ways to take care of our brain. Many of us have heard that increased engagement with puzzles, reading, and games can stave off or slow down many forms of mental degradation that come with age. While engaging our mind with mental activities might keep us sharp, it does not take care of our brain the way brushing takes care of our teeth. It's more like a workout, and anyone who's ever worked out knows that rest is just as important a part of physical health as pumping iron. But here's a funny thing about the brain. When our body is asleep, when our body is resting, our brain is active. When we sleep, our brain is actually hard at work. According to an article from Scientific American in 2025, the brain coordinates what it calls a series of highly orchestrated events that allow the body to recuperate after a hard day of living life. The brain clears itself of toxins. Growth hormones are released to allow the body to repair itself from the minor dings and nicks that happen throughout the course of a day. And during REM sleep, the brain is as active as when we are fully awake. There are still a lot of mysteries about what happens to us physiologically while we sleep, but they do know the brain does not get the rest our body does while we sleep. So how do we take care of our brains? Is there something we can do to take care of our brains the way our brains take care of us? Of course there is. I wouldn't have asked the question if the answer was no. I want you to try something. If you're not used to these kind of activities that we're about to do, it might feel a little weird. Maybe even it'll make you uncomfortable. But I want to assure you, according to the Rabbinic Search Committee, you can trust me. So put down anything you might be holding. Get as comfortable as possible. Close your eyes. Now breathe. Take some nice, slow, deep breaths at your own pace. Fill your lungs with air, hold it for a moment, and slowly let it out. Keep your eyes closed and breathe with me for just 30 seconds. Take a few more breaths and slowly, not in a way to shock you, flutter your eyes open. Some people do not like the word meditation because it might have a stigma attached to it. Other people cannot handle the word prayer or even yoga, relaxation techniques. They can all give you negative feelings, especially if you're not recently from California. But I hope everyone can handle breathing. Breathing is one thing we do every day. We don't even give it up for Yom Kippur. The quiet, soft focus on our breathing is actually a way to let our brain rest. More than sleep, paying attention to the physical part of bringing air into our lungs and pushing it out is rejuvenating to the brain, which does not have to do any thinking in that moment. It doesn't have to process any visual input because our eyes are closed, and it can let go of itself for just a moment. The breathing that we did quietly was 30 seconds. I timed it. Imagine if you could spend just as much time taking care of your brain every day as you do brushing your teeth. A 2-minute session, twice a day, gives up almost nothing compared to the benefits we might achieve by taking care of our brain like we do our teeth. And as a reminder, almost all of you said the brain is more important. The concept of focusing on our brain for a little bit each day is less daunting than the larger concept of me saying, we're going to change the way we take care of our brain. 30 seconds of sitting still and breathing once a day for a week. Then maybe add a second time during the day when you breathe for 30 seconds. And then maybe add 10 seconds to each session for a week. And grow slowly until you're fully taking care of your brain as you would your teeth. Eventually, the change will be noticeable. Much easier to accomplish because of gradual process. Whatever your goal is, finding a way to break it into a more easily accomplishable task makes it more manageable and therefore more possible. It works for other things we do too. My podcast co-host, shameless plug, I have a podcast because I'm a man of a certain age. My podcast co-host, Barak Malkin, recently said that on a 6-hour drive with his 2 very young children, he and his wife put 6 sticky notes high up on the windshield out of his field of view. And after each hour of driving, they would remove one of the sticky notes so that the drive became less about the long 6-hour drive and became more about the shorter time required to get rid of each new sticky note. Jewish learning is broken up much the same way. Imagine trying to read the entire Talmud. The Talmud is a dense, 36-volume work of Jewish law. Considered one of our sacred texts, it is important to learn the voluminous teachings it holds, but to sit down and just try to read the Talmud is a gargantuan task. Rabbi Moshe Menachem Mendel Spivak proposed the idea of studying 1 page of Talmud every day. About 3 years later, that idea was actually initiated by Rabbi Meir Shapiro beginning on Rosh Hashanah in 1923, just over 100 years ago. They called it Daf Yomi, Hebrew for daily page. It's currently in its 14th cycle. Jews all over the world study the same page every day, and after 7.5 years, we have finished the whole thing. I'm studying with a group of friends, and when we finish, we started in January 2020, and when we finish in June 2027, we're meeting in Vegas to finish the Talmud. When I teach someone who's looking to convert to Judaism, I suggest a similar method for taking on a new practice. Take Shabbat as an example. There are so many rules for Shabbat. So many things we're supposed to do and so many things we're supposed to not do. And instead of just saying, start practicing Shabbat, I counsel conversion candidates to try lighting the candles each week. And when that becomes a habit, Try inviting people over for Shabbat dinner. After a while, maybe you'll want to add some Zmirot, some Shabbat songs, or perhaps Kiddush and Motzi, and maybe even Birkat Hamazon. Maybe eventually you'll start to stay away from technology on Shabbat, or set your work email to deliver a Shabbat bounce-back message. Perhaps a weekly Shabbat stroll, or my personal favorite, the Shabbat nap. After a while, you realize you're doing a pretty good job of keeping Shabbat in a way that would impress any Jewish person. Today, is Rosh Hashanah, the beginning of our High Holy Days, the first day of our Jewish year. And while the beginning of the year is and should be celebratory, we're also focusing on Teshuvah for the next 10 days, culminating with Yom Kippur when we ask forgiveness and pray for absolution before the gates close on us for the year. That's a tall order. And even Teshuvah should be broken into smaller steps. Usually we think of things as monumental tasks. Take better care of ourselves, be kinder to our loved ones, accomplish more at work, spend more time with friends, fix that broken thing or remodel that space or build that project. When we think of a task as a whole, it can be terrifying. But taking a larger task and breaking it into small parts is much easier. We actually already started this process for Teshuvah as a community. For the past month, we've been sending daily emails to all of you to prepare us for the process of Teshuvah. We call them Elul Thoughts, and they are short pieces to help us get in the mood for self-reflection and change. Today, we officially start the process of Teshuvah, and again, it comes in stages that are intended to make this daunting concept a little bit more manageable. They even have names. The steps have names. So first, we engage in Cheshbon HaNefesh, literally an accounting of the soul, but understood as self-reflection. We take time for introspection, perhaps remembering our deeds over the past year. Where did we do great? And where was there room for improvement? Where are our deepest regrets of the past year? And what are our moments of accomplishment and pride? We think it all through with the help of the liturgy and study texts found in our Machzor, designed in part to help remind us where we might have missed the mark. The next step is Hakarat HaChet, recognition of sin, also known as acknowledgement of our mistakes. This can be as simple as thought. Answering the questions from our Cheshbon HaNefesh, we take our losses and one by one realize that there was wrongdoing on our part. Next is Charata, regret. Moving from thinking to feeling, we recognize that we have done wrong. We've made mistakes. This is a very small step from recognizing to regretting. And it's important to make small moves to be successful in the process of Teshuvah as a whole. Now, the first three steps are personal. And no matter whether the mistakes we make affect only us or other people as well, self-reflection, acknowledgement, and regret are all individual activities. If you can do these steps while sitting and thinking, that's great. It's also a good idea to try journaling if you get really good at it, and take seriously these steps towards complete repentance. The next steps might involve others. Sometimes the things we would fix in our lives are only about us, and other times we need the help of others to go through the steps of Teshuvah. The next two steps often go hand in hand. Tefillah v'kapara, or reaching out in atonement. This is the classic, I'm sorry, but with the caveat that sometimes there are things we need to do to complete the apology. We might need to pay someone back, or replace a lost item, or spend some time eating crow. Whatever we need to do may not be entirely up to us, and it may take more than 10 days. But starting the process is a critical step. The next step is tricky. It's called Kabbalah, which means acceptance. This could be the acceptance of an apology, which might be out of our hands. It could be our own acceptance of the need to make changes. It could be the difficult step of accepting ourselves as changing and forgiving ourselves. This is the step that reminds us that tshuva is not all about regret, but about striving to become a better version of ourselves. We can use this step as an opportunity to set manageable goals for self-improvement, because even the post-tshuva process can have steps. And the final step is ma'aseh, action and implementation. We do concrete actions that demonstrate the changes we have made for ourselves. We might seek guidance through the help of a qualified counselor. We might learn a new skill set. We might break an old habit. It is the ma'aseh that really makes tshuva complete. As Maimonides teaches, we only know for sure that we have repented fully if we are presented with the same situation and we behave differently. It's entirely possible we might never be presented with the same situation that created a problem for us in the first place. But if we are, and we're able to behave differently, a great weight is lifted from us, and we know that tshuva is complete. 6 steps. Not a 6-step sprint, but a slow, intentional, 6-stage journey. When we're able to successfully make tshuva, the results can have an effect on other parts of our lives. The stress that is lifted knowing that we've made amends can be healing to our brain. Lowering our stress levels is generally acknowledged as a health and wellness benefit and can lead to better sleep, strengthen our immune system, and make us happier people. As we enter 5786, let us continue to commit to improving ourselves step by step. May we all see the value in breaking down the major tasks of living a better life into manageable pieces. May we use these steps to take care of our brains, ourselves, our communities, and our world. May we take the time to make small improvements for a year that will make a great difference. Shana Tova U'Metuka, may it be a good and sweet year for us all.